It's Nito. Glad to be here. Another one of these BS busters. Yeah. Um. Oh, it's our first topic. Oh yeah, yeah. Apparently, people, nostalgia is one hell of a drug, and apparently, people have been letting a lot of stuff go pertaining to the new Oblivion. Apparently, it is a bit buggy. But they're like it's a feature. They act like it's a feature. Yeah. 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 Yeah, so apparently there's a few uh videos on there YouTubers that are getting called out pertaining to how they were presenting the game. Some of them hadn't played the game for very long, and some of them are like, "Oh, this is so much better," but I haven't played Oblivion in like 20 years practically. But I can tell you this is better. It's like, okay, they're just making excuses for the game. They were just making a bunch of excuses for the remake. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. Let me have some what? No, I haven't seen it, but I've seen trailers. Yeah. 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 That sounds like a real mess. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe that. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. How does it? That's how games were back then. I mean, like, they always took chances. And the story of Morrowind is considered to be one of the best ones in the franchise, where you basically can become the Neverine. Because general boilerplate story for Morrowind is that these three beings, well, four beings, basically betrayed this dark elf lord of a household, who basically said, "Okay, we're going to bring our gods back and restore honor to the dark elven people." And they were like, "Fuck that! We're going to use this artifact in order to become gods ourselves." And they did a ritual. They killed this guy, one of whom was his best friend, and they basically turned themselves into living gods. And every few years, they have to go and renew the ritual over this heart of the god of the humans, who was murdered because he tricked the gods of the other races into making the world. He's a trickster god, and he was murdered for tricking the other gods because they expended their own power into creating the mortal world. And their children, the high elves, basically were lessened because the high elves apparently in the lore used to be immortal. And when their gods, who they consider to be their parents and or their ancestors, gave up power to create the mortal world, and all these other races came out, they were diminished. So they stopped living forever and started dying early on. They still live like 800, like hundreds of years, but they're like, fuck you, mortality sucks. So essentially speaking, your character becomes this guy who can essentially, by doing a series of quests, or girl, can take on the mantle of being the Neverine and become a god, a living god yourself, in order to take on a villain who's trying to become a living god himself by infesting everyone with a mystical, magical disease that causes intense amounts of pain, while turning you into a kind of parasitic creature that follows his will.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's like Morrowind is like the Elder Scrolls games are. There's a lot of stuff going on. The issue with the Morrowind games is that the combat system typically sucks. The gameplay is an acquired taste, but the stories are pretty good. Skyrim's story is very simplistic. Very simplistic. Oblivion has a conceit that actually turns the hero trope on its head. Because, I mean, this game is... Shit, when did Oblivion come out? Elder Scrolls Oblivion, 2006. This game is almost 20 years old at this point. Okay?
Yeah.
So fuck it, I'm gonna spoil it. In Oblivion, you are not the main character of the game. You are a character. You are not the main character. The main character, because typically speaking, in RPGs, the main character is the character who sacrifices themselves to save the world. Okay, that's the hero. In Chrono Trigger, the hero is Chrono. He sacrifices himself to buy time for his friends to get away from Lavos' eye beams. Okay. Yeah. If he's not the hero, he's one of the major heroes of the game. In Final Fantasy VI, the main character, the hero of that game, is Terra. The other characters are heroes too, but she's like the main character. In Final Fantasy X, ironically enough, Titus is not the main character.
Yeah.
Yuna is the main character. Why? Yeah. Because she's willing to sacrifice herself in order to save the world. The main character of Elder Scrolls Oblivion is Martin Septim. Martin Septim is the main character because he sacrifices himself in order to save the world. You're his sidekick. While he's sitting there figuring out ways to save the world, you're the guy going around doing all these side quests and shit, getting artifacts and shit so he can save the world. So you're his partner in crime. You're his sidekick.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting conceit. Imagine an RPG where you're not the main character.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, imagine if they made a Batman game, an Arkham game.
Or Batman wasn't the main character?
No, Batman's in it, but you don't play as Batman. You play as Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Now you could probably do that if the gameplay was tight enough. Like you played as like
Yeah.
Tim Drake Robin, like just going around the city doing shit while Batman's doing other shit. As a matter of fact, that could totally work if you did a Batman Beyond video game where you had like old, grizzled Bruce Wayne giving you like he's basically trying to figure out a way to save the city while you're just running around putting out fires and shit. That could work.
Yeah.
Actually, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Steal that shit, Warner Brothers. Make a Batman Beyond game. Because that would be amazing. But that's just me. Anyway, so yeah, but back to Oblivion. Oblivion is one of those games that, like I said, it, you know, you know, flaws and all. This is a they took the original game. They didn't really make any real changes to the original game. So, what you get is what you get. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. Are there any other topics you'd like to bring up, or is there anything else that you would like to say about that particular topic?
Um. No, it's connected to another topic I
All right.
had, and
Okay, go ahead.
that's the that
Bring
is
up the other topic.
that's the Claire Obscure Expedition 33 and some of the weird reactions people have had over it. They act like there hasn't been a big turn-based RPG to come out. We had at least a few of them come out last year. We had Metaphor Refantasio. We had the remakes, the Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
Uh,
Dragon Quest 3.
obviously Dragon Quest 3.
Yeah.
So one person had the snide remark to say, this is like Final Fantasy, but better. And I was like, which one? Because every Final Fantasy game is fairly different from each other. So it's hard to rudimentally, you could probably say they're all the same, but they're all fairly different in how
I
the
mean,
story is laid out.
I break Final Fantasy into eras. The Hironobu Sakaguchi era. Look, I've played a little bit of Claire Obscura, Expedition 33, and it's good. I mean, is it like if you take the best Final Fantasy of the Hironobu Sakaguchi era is arguably Final Fantasy VI. Is it better than Final Fantasy VI? No.
No.
It's good.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say no.
It's good. It ain't Final Fantasy VI good. I mean, come on, man. I would put it on par with a Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX isn't terrible. It's one of the better later Hironobu Sakaguchi era Final Fantasies. I think 7's overrated as fuck. I think 8 is trash. I think 9 is one of the better Gen 5 ones. I would put it like not quite at that level because 9 is very polished. I would put it maybe like if 9 is a 89, 90, I would put Claire like 83, 85. It's not a bad game. It's fairly decent. Here's the thing. The reason why people are praising this game is because this game is unpretentious. It is what it is. It's not trying to. It doesn't nickel and dime you with DLC. The
Yeah.
combat system is reminiscent of old school combat systems. They aren't trying to reinvent the fucking wheel. It uses time to attack, which is, like if you've played a good Paper Mario game, time to attack has been a thing for years. It's
Yeah.
just that's just kind of like, or Shadow Hearts, where you had to use every time you attacked an enemy, there was like a little mini game that popped up. Like time to attack is not something. Oh my god, this is so brand new. We've never seen it before. We've seen it every console gen. Some shit comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, it's it's kind of like remember when what's it called? Remember when they what was the name of that game when Doom 2016 came out and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is so revolutionary. Oh, this is so amazing." And I played it and I'm like, "This is Metroid Prime."
Yeah.
This is not what the you think you're doing something different because you took the Metroid Prime approach? Fuck you. This is not unique.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But you know, I know a lot of yeah, I believe right, Metaphor ReFantasio actually sold 1 million a lot quicker than this game. And I'm not trying to downplay the success of this game. It's just it's it's your problem that you had with Breath of the Wild when it came out. People were praising it, and a lot of the people who were praising it never played a Zelda game before that. I think a lot of people that are really into this game are people and that are talking about how turn-based games and stuff like that have never really played a turn-based game or weren't appealed to the like anime art style for but your Persona games or your the metaphor game and so even I mean even Dragon Quest, which is a remake, I mean that actually made Square Enix a profit compared to some of their other games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of people don't play games like that. Like a lot of newer gamers don't remember Final Fantasy when it was good. They know it now when the shit it has become. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people aren't into Dragon Quest. Like they're just now getting into Dragon because Dragon Quest has become more mainstream. Um, you know, like I remember talking to someone. They're like, "Oh man, this game's amazing. What is it? It's Octopath Traveler." I'm like, yeah, it's Octopath Traveler's battle system is basically a refinement of what we had in Bravely Default.
Yeah.
It's not really anything really. Although I think the combat system in Octopath Traveler is better than any of the Bravely Default games. Because Bravely
Yeah.
Default is like, especially that first one, like how you have to basically go through those fucking grindy ass combat system over and over and over again. I'm like, god damn. Okay, the world reset itself, so I got to fight these enemies again, like 3, 4 times.
That was one of the things that at least if I were to give it the score, that dropped the score. It was like a 9, at least for me when I was playing, it's like a 9, but when I had to do all that, it probably dropped down to like an 8 or 7. Like this is absolutely annoying. But I definitely like how the game turned out. Definitely like
Yeah.
the twist to the original Bravely Default.
Well, I mean, the first Bravely Default. I mean, like, okay. Spoiler alert: your fairy companion is the villain.
Yeah.
She was basically trying to destroy the world the entire time. Um,
Yeah.
and the heroes that you were defeating were the people who tried to stop her in previous incarnations of the world who fell. Um,
Yeah.
and the reason your character, I forgot your character's Tiz. The reason Tiz is managed to survive is because Tiz is a remnant of one of the original heroes who just refuses to give up. It's the whole point.
Yeah.
Like he refuses, even in the sequel to that game, Bravely Default, Bravely the Second. Like Tiz
Yeah.
is still in that game because he refuses to give up, which is kind of a cool twist. It's like I'm a hero because I
Yeah.
refuses to stop fighting and stop trying to save the world. I'm like, oh, this is a neat little thing going on here. My
Yeah.
issue with Bravely Default, like I said, was just it's like y'all. It got to be too goddamn much.
Yeah. Yeah. The,
It's like how many times can we do the same thing over and over again?
yeah. I like maxing out all the classes though.
But then that
That
got
was fun.
grindy as fuck too.
Yeah.
Like the higher tier skills, that got so fucking grindy. Now the cool thing was like, and this is where Bravely Default beats Octopath Traveler because you can only have your main class and your side class in Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. And Bravely
Yeah.
Default, the way you could mix and match skills, you could create. I mean, it's kind of like Final Fantasy V, how you could break the game. It's like no one can stop me with my ultimate class. Who wants a piece? Who wants some? You want a piece. I don't want a piece. Yeah, you do. You were looking at me funny. I know you want a piece. That's why you were looking at me, because you wanted a piece. But yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing game. I love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. Some people are gonna get mad about that. But I don't really care if they get mad because I'm one of those people. I don't care if you don't like what I gotta say. I'm gonna say it. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right. So I guess we can move on to the next topic. A topic that's not really a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart, or as I like to call it, my heart, my heart. EA once again, firing the fuck out of people. This time they fired a whole bunch of people who work over at. They fired like 200 people, and they canceled a Titanfall game.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 was one of the best first-person shooters that came out. Titanfall 2, I will. That was one of the best shooters that came out.
Oh yeah.
Past, I think, 10, 15 years.
It was
So,
amazing. It was amazing, and it basically addressed all the things that people wanted with the previous game. That they had to rush to get that game out that wasn't there. But the problem is that they're owned by EA. EA put that game out to die.
yeah.
They put it out the same week as Battlefield 2 came out. I'm like, y'all just sabotage your own goddamn studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you sabotage your own goddamn game?
You are victorious.
Yeah, they sabotaged the fuck out of it. I was like, y'all just don't care, do you? Y'all
Nope.
just were like, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I know these publishers are necessary evils for some of these developers, but they decided to leave Activision because they were getting a raw deal and then go to EA thinking they were going to get a better deal.
Well, they thought
What
they
the
could
hell?
have more leverage to bargain a good deal. And they did because they got a better profit, more independence, and all that type of shit. But the problem is that EA and Activision are two sides of the same fucking coin. Even now. It's all bullshit. It's all you're getting fucked.
Well, I mean, with the clout that these people have, maybe they can crowdfund the capital to start an indie studio and maybe create some kind of maybe spiritual successor to
Titanfall.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, look. Uh, I agree with your assessment, but here's the thing. here's the thing. Here's the thing.
We've seen this before, and it ends up terrible when established studios get out underneath their publishers and don't go their own way and end up crowdfunding a game and end up screwing it up and end up getting bought by a major publisher anyway. Microsoft, Double Fine.
Well,
Is that what
Double
you're gonna
Fine's
say?
yeah, but Double Fine actually has made some good games. Psychonauts 2 is amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
here's what I'm gonna say. Even the games they made when they were completely indie, like Headlander's fucking amazing, and those two RPGs they made where you're like basically kids trick or treating.
Oh yeah.
Double, you can't deny Double Fine's creds as legitimately good game developers, and that stacking game where you have the eggs that you go inside. I mean, all these games are really well made. Like their design philosophy, how they make games, stands the test of time. It's just they run out of money.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, they make good. I'm not saying they make bad games. They're just terrible managers.
I mean, the thing is like, I'm not even gonna say they're terrible managers. It's okay. If you are a game developer, you want to make the best game possible, right? Right. And there's feature creep. That's not a bad development thing. That's just making anything. You know, there comes a point where you're like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we add this? Wouldn't it be cool if we added that? Now, to me personally, I would rather have someone want to add a lot of cool shit to the game than people who are cutting corners.
You are victorious.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And I know some people are going to get mad at that. They're going to be like, how could you say that? Very easily. Okay? You know, some people are going to get mad by that. They're going to be like, because the thing is like, look at Skyrim. Skyrim, like, if you played Oblivion, right? Oblivion had more complexity than Skyrim. Skyrim was overly simplified. And overly simple, like people who started out playing Elder Scrolls with Skyrim and now they're playing Oblivion and they're like, oh my god, all these gameplay systems that make the game more interesting that Skyrim didn't have because they stripped them out. Now you know why people who started on Oblivion and Morrowind were mad at Skyrim. They're like, this game is, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, I remember hearing this quote from Eiji Onuma. He's like, we don't hire people who like to make video games. I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're hiring people who don't like making video games to make video games, no wonder there's some questionable design choices with your games. I'm like, you know. But there was a whole regime change. It says Iwata died. So, and Iwata was someone who actually liked making games. He liked making games. He liked developing games. And even though he was more of a administrator towards the end of his career, he was administrating the company. He still, at his heart, was very much like, oh, do gamers like this? The new regime is not like that.
Yeah.
So, you know. But, I mean, that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong. But, yeah, so, like, but as you were saying, yeah, but back to Claire Obscura. Yeah, man, like, people are just not gonna, People don't know games like that anymore. They just don't. People don't make games like that anymore where they're like, you know, people don't go for simplicity. Everyone wants the newest, hottest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, typical.
You know? And let's not forget, speaking about the other thing, is that you know, they ran they ran that shit down, man. I mean, look, EA is not a good look, EA, what's his name? I forget who it was. They said I think it was Will Wright. He said EA, or it was Richard Garriott. EA is good at buying companies. They're not good at growing IPs.
Yeah.
That's not their thing. They're not good at it.
Yeah.
You have suffered defeat.
You know, they're not good at growing IPs. You know, and we've seen this. Like, what new IPs have EA come out with from their AAA and AA studios? Nothing. The new IPs that have come out of EA have come from indies. Like It Takes Two and that other game from that developer who said fuck the Oscars.
Yeah.
He's like, people say that working for EA is terrible. I didn't have a problem. Of course you didn't have a problem, because your games don't cost millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay, your games probably cost at the most $1 million. His first game probably costs probably half a million. Second game probably $1 million. Now, when you're a $1 billion company, $1 million ain't shit. You spend that on toilet paper in your buildings in a year.
Yeah.
But that's my own personal opinion.
You are victorious.
But, you know, I could be wrong. You know, what do I know? I'm just some guy. I could always be wrong. You have any thoughts on it? Agree, disagree, don't care?
No, I'm good.
Alright, so with that being said... I guess we move on to the final topic, which is unpopular opinion. Do you have an unpopular opinion you'd like to share?
Not this week.
All right, okay. I have an unpopular opinion slash my free thought.
You are
And my free thought is
victorious.
my free topic. So I'm someone who played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I did not like them. I did not like them, Sam. I am. I did not like them on the plane. I did not like them on the train. I did not like those games. I did not like them, Sam. I am. Uh, for me, I'm just going to talk about what would be my ultimate Legend of Zelda game. Would Nintendo do this? Probably not, because Nintendo is always going to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Damn what other people want.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's my idea. Uh, so, I like the idea of having a massive open world like Breath of the Wild. I do not like how empty that world was. Even in Tears of the Kingdom, like, these people should have been rebuilding their lives, and instead it was basically just the map of Breath of the Wild with a few new things on it. Oh, and you can swim through the rocks now, so that's cool. And you can go on islands in the sky and into the depths. I'm like, okay, cool. They fixed the boss fight between Ganon, but everything else was kind of like lame still. So here's my idea. Imagine a massive open world Legend of Zelda game in the vein of a Breath of the Wild, like the scope of that world where you have Hyrule, okay? But, you know, each iteration of Link has its own thing. In Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, you're like the Hylian Knight, guardian of Princess Zelda, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine in this Legend of Zelda, you are legit an adventurer. Like, the opening tutorial is your character, like, you hit the age of your majority and you're like, look, I don't want to be in this shitty little town. I'm going to go to the city and become an adventurer. Now, what do adventurers do in this world? They go in and delve ruins to find shit to sell to make money. Also fighting monsters, getting bits and pieces from monsters to sell or to use themselves to make potions and shit. Like, they're adventurers, you know?
Yeah.
We're going to lean into the roots of Legend of Zelda feeling like this action adventure game where you're out exploring. Okay? So the game starts with your character leaving the village and making his way to Hyrule, which is a legit city. Like, I don't mean bullshit city. I mean, it's a legit city. Like, there's people have houses and, like, there's a day-night, midday, midnight cycle. There's like a seedy underbelly to the city. There's like a thieves guild where there's people going around stealing from people in dark alleys during the day, and at night thieves roam the streets in certain areas. And depending on your actions in the game, like, each area, each town, city, village has like little side quests that open up. And depending on how you resolve those quests, shit changes for those areas. So, hypothetically speaking, there's the Thieves Guild in Hyrule has, like, since since the Hyrule Castle city is like a major city. The types of quests that exist there, like, there's the mages, there's the Wizard's Tower where, like, magic users go to learn how to use magic. There's a fucking soldier's barrack where Hylian soldiers go to learn how to fight. There's the Thieves Guild, which is under the city, because obviously it's a major city with a major population, trade routes. There's gonna be crime. Okay? Um, you know, like, you resolve the thing with the Thieves Guild, and either the thieves get worse in the city, or you can make it so that they respect. There's like a truce between the thieves and the soldiers slash police in the city, where they're like, look, we know we can't eliminate the Thieves Guild because they're like cockroaches. You slash them, they just run someplace else. What we will do is say, look, y'all keep your crime in certain areas.
Yeah.
And that would change that would change the behavior of those NPCs. Like you can go into certain areas and there wouldn't be thieves there trying to steal your shit. And we're going like thieves like back in the day in like Link to the Past where they would run into you, they smash into you, you take a little bit of damage, like a little bit of damage, and you drop your rupees.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Anyway, moving on. So Link has to legit adventure. Like you get a map and you have to fill it out by doing shit. Like I do like that concept. Like you get a map, it's like, okay, here's your hometown where you started. Here's Hyrule, and I want you to go explore these ruins, which turns out to be your first dungeon because that's your first thing is adventure. It's like I want you to go explore these ruins. We heard like people who live near there have been hearing strange sounds coming from the depths of this dungeon. Um, and let's say it's in Kokiri. It's a dungeon that's located outside, like inside the Kokiri forest. But in the there's like a little like town. There's like a village slash town outside of the forest, and the people are like, yeah, we're scared of going in there because like they have like the children. They have the children of the forest in there, and they like they're mean. They play pranks. And they've gotten dangerous because now we have like little skeleton children who've been going around like singing some type of weird lullaby about how if you stay in there overnight you'll turn into a monster. It's weird. It's scary, and you have to solve that shit there. Like each area you're going to, things your character has agency in the world, and your actions should actually have an effect on the world. So for example, I always thought it would be cool to have a village that like have two villages who are like, one is a village of outcast monsters who are like, look, we got tired of being hunted and attacked, and we also don't want to attack people. We just want to live in a village by ourselves. So there's like an old village that got abandoned or burnt out that they're fixing up and turning into an actual living space. And a village of like normal Hylians are like, look, we don't want these monsters living near us. They're going to attack us. And then you can either destroy the monster village or broker a peace between the two, or turn around and attack the Hylian village so that they'll fucking leave. But these things would affect the game.
Okay.
Like for example, let's say you broker a peace between the two villages so that they're actually living in some form of harmony with each other, and the monster village would then open up quests where you have to go destroy feral monster layers. But here's the thing: when you destroy a feral monster layer, new monsters move in because you've changed the ecosystem in that area. So let's say like you have to go into a mini dungeon and face like a whole bunch of moblins. Like they've taken over that area. Well, guess the fuck what? You've taken out a major faction in that area. So let's say in game a month passes and that same cave has now been taken over by Lizalfos or
Yeah.
Bokoblins. So there is an escalation or a de-escalation. Let's say you take out let's say you take out the major, like eventually there's like an escalation meter where you take out so many moblin layers that the king moblin, like the most powerful moblin in that area, puts out a hit on you and he'll challenge you. You take him out, the moblins are done in that area. They are not coming back. Okay, they're done, so they're gone. So moblins become a rarely seen monster in that area. Okay, and if you do that enough to the various monster species, the area becomes safer. Hunting goes up. There's more creatures to hunt. The fishing goes up. There's more creatures to fish. The neutral monsters that you can attack for ingredients go up because you don't have other monsters like killing them for food and their own nefarious things. That's the type of game I would like to see in a next Legend of Zelda game. Like having, like Breath of the Wild said, "Oh, this is a living, breathing world." Not really. Not when every 3 days, 3 in-game days, or a week in the game, like all the enemies, it's like, oh man, I cleared out that fortress. Oh, they just respawned. And they're like, well, the evil of Ganon is the reason they respond. I'm like, that's stupid. Also annoying, but mostly stupid. Anyway, that's my opinion. Do you have any thoughts? Any suggestions?
Quest complete.
No, not really. Sounds like a pretty good idea.
All right. Oh, okay. I do have one more thing I'd like to say about it because I thought this would be cool. So I know I said earlier that I didn't like weapon degradation. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me put an asterisk next to that. If you're going to have weapon degradation, in order to make items that you find in dungeons and by doing certain quests, certain quests that you get from doing certain quest lines and shit like that, then if you want to have weapon degradation, weapons should have weapon quality. The weapon quality, I would say, should go from scrap to poor to common to good to master class to legendary. Now, here's the thing. Scrap weapons are trash. You know, it's like an iron sword that's been in a battlefield and rusted and it's barely holding it together. That's a scrap iron sword. You might be able to hit an enemy 3, 4, 5 times with it and then it's going to break. I'm okay with that having weapon degradation. Okay? I'm okay with that. A poorly made sword. I'm a village blacksmith and all I make is horseshoes and nails and cutlery so people can eat their food. I don't really do swords. Like, that guy's sword is not going to be that good. Or an apprentice who just is starting to learn. Their swords are not going to be high quality. So I'm okay with that only having like 10, 15, 20 hits in it before it breaks or degrades. Fine. Common. Oh man, this is a common sword. It's mass produced. They use a mold for it, and then the apprentice goes and sharpens it and adds a little detail. It's 50, 60 hits in. Cool. Before it breaks or degrades. I'm okay with that. Once you get to good crafted, well crafted and master class weapons, well crafted weapons don't break. They just get like dull, and then you have to sharpen them. A master crafted weapon should not be breaking or getting dull. Okay, so and legendaries definitely not. Okay, now to make up for that, I think that legendary and master craft weapons, in order to upgrade them, like if you want to upgrade your well-crafted iron sword or well-crafted knight sword that you get in the beginning of the game, you can just go and pay some rupees, maybe get some materials. They'll upgrade, they'll sharpen it for you. They'll make it better, but it's not going to last that long. Kind of like Majora's Mask. With the razor, with the honed sword you could get in the game for Link. However, for like well-crafted, master-crafted legendary weapons, in order to upgrade those, it should be involved. It should literally feel like I went on a quest to get this shit, and it should be permanent. Okay, like if you go to the Goron City and you do their major quest, which is gonna be you going into the dungeon and rescuing some Gorons from whatever monsters in there, and you fucking get the Megaton hammer. That is a legendary weapon. That's not gonna break. Okay, that's fucking stupid. All right. And if you want to upgrade it to its most powerful form, that should require you staying in that area, doing all types of side quests and exploring Death Mountain and the surrounding areas. Maybe doing a side quest where you get a diving suit made out of a certain special materials that lets you dive into lava, so you can basically catch certain rare creatures, which you can then use to upgrade your megaton hammer, so that it can do more damage and hit, like, activate certain switches and break certain blocks. Shit like that, okay? But weapon degradation on high level specialized weapons and tools, that's bullshit. Fuck that shit. And I know I know why they did that, so that you would constantly be exploring in order to find better items. But it's stupid.
Yeah. At least, if you're gonna have something like that, at least if you wanna have people exploring, at least make people explore to find better material to upgrade your weapons or something like that, rather than scavenging for new weapons half the time.
Yeah, which is what you spent your time doing. Like, weapon degradation became such an issue for me in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that even with you can fix your weapons now. I'm like, yeah, but it's still some bullshit. It got to the point that I just stopped. I started running away from fights. Cause I didn't want to use my best weapons. I was like saving it for the boss fights and shit. Not to mention, the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild has a fucking recharge meter, which is stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, not even the Master Sword is all powerful. For real? It's called the fucking Master Sword, not the, sometimes it works really good for about, for 1 or 2 fights, and then it has to recharge sword.
Yeah.
But that's modern Legend of Zelda for you. This is the game everyone's like, oh, this is the best game ever. I'm like, are you sure you want to say that? I mean, I'm not.
They feel that way. They feel that way.
It's good. It's not the best Legend of Zelda ever. I mean, everyone has their favorite Legend of Zelda. Mine personally, my favorite Legend of Zelda now is 2D is Link to the Past. I would say Link to the Past is still the best Legend of Zelda game I've ever played. I would say 3D, I'm gonna go with Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
And I know some people are going to get mad by that. They're going to be like, how could you say that? I'll tell you why I like Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess had one of the better stories in the franchise. It had interesting characters. The art style isn't great. It didn't age that well because they went for a somewhat realistic art style.
Yeah.
But gameplay-wise, Link has never been more badass than in Twilight Princess. Like, think about those boss battles in Twilight Princess. They're memorable. Okay? All those boss battles are fucking memorable. Fighting Goma, fighting the Deku Baba, fighting fucking Bone Star-Lord. And my personal favorite, where you go to the city in the clouds and you fight that goddamn wyvern, where you gotta use the claw, the double claw shot to grab its legs and then put on the iron boots and drag it down so it'll smash to the ground, its armor will break, and then you can attack its weak spot. Brilliant. Okay? Whereas the boss fights in Breath of the Wild are lazy. Tears of the Kingdom, I will admit, the final boss fight between Ganon, where he turns into a dragon, is kind of cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know why they did that, right?
Why?
Because the boss fight between Ganon in the original game was such bullshit. I mean, you do remember that boss fight in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's like, and hit him in his glowing weak spot. Don't forget, you gotta hit him in the glowing weak spot. every time. I'm like, for real? Like, that's... Like, y'all couldn't even be bothered? Like, I'm like, That game is so disappointing. Tears of the Kingdom, like I said, Tears of the Kingdom, the gameplay, like they were like they tried to fix the issues with the gameplay, but they didn't go far enough because the core underlying issues with that game were like baked into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't fix something where the underlying foundation is fucked up.
Yeah.
And they weren't gonna, like, they wanted to get that game out as soon as possible, so they kind of rushed to get it out there. So... Anyway, that's the end of the cast. Anything you want to pimp out?
Yeah. Music channel on Project Open Mic, or put music on Project Open Mic. Check it out when you get a chance.
Okay. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner and proprietor of BS Busters. Thank you for joining us for another cast. I think we had some productive discussions in this one. If you would like to get in touch with the channel, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Discord. The link is in the description. I'm in the process of upgrading my PC rig right now, adding a metric fuck ton of storage. So that's gonna be fun. And yeah. What?
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm basically in the process of waiting for my money to come up where I can buy 4 terabyte NVMe PCIe SSDs. Because I have a 4 slot PCIe card that holds 4 NVMEs. Now, the dream would be to get 8 gigs, but 8 gig NVMEs are very expensive, and I don't want to put that type of money into it.
Yeah.
That's just a little bit too much. Like, I can't. That's too much. I can't do that much. But what I'm going for is what? What?
So 8 terabytes is pretty expensive, that's for sure.
Yeah, the 8 terabytes NVMEs are very expensive. And if my money, like, here's the thing, if I get that job where I go up from what I'm making now to like $84K a year, then I can do it. But right now I can't. So anyway, that's the end of the cast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, play your games, etc., etc. Peace. Let me hit the button. Hit the button. Hit the button. Hit the button. Ending the stream.